Her hands were shaking. The corners of the envelope had already started to curl under her grip. Jasmine didn't blink. Didn't speak. She stared at the paper like it was alive, like it might attack her if she looked away. The name printed in black ink wasn't a joke. It wasn't a prank. It was Gino's full name, next to the word father. She whispered one word under her breath, barely audible. What? The cameras were still rolling, but the room had gone silent. Her fingers trembled as she flipped the paper over, hoping to find some kind of prank sticker or TLC gotcha watermark. Nothing. It was real. A real DNA test. A real child. And Gino never told her. You don't accidentally give someone a DNA test with your name already printed on it. She looked up at the Christmas tree, still glowing. Red, gold, and fake promises. Gino had been smirking like a middle school boy when he handed her the envelope earlier that night. You're gonna laugh, he said. Open it? She didn't laugh. Not then. Not now. The flashback hit her in pieces. Gino standing next to her in the living room, holding out a thin, gift-wrapped envelope with reindeer print. This one's silly, he said. Not a real present. Except it was. It was the only real thing she had touched all week. He'd leaned in after she opened it, peeking over her shoulder. It's just one of those test kits. I thought it'd be fun. Like, see if you're 10% Viking or something? He joked. But he never looked directly at the paper. He didn't even seem interested in what the results might say. He moved on too fast. He poured wine. He played music. He asked if she wanted to open more gifts. All before she even had a chance to read the fine print. Now she knew why. There was no test for her. There was a result. And it had been mailed weeks ago. There was already a child involved. A mother. A timeline she was never part of. A truth she wasn't supposed to find. She read it again. Child, female. Age, 3.99 years. Her stomach dropped. She looked around. Where was Gino? Still in the kitchen? Still pretending nothing was wrong? Still sipping cheap wine like this wasn't the end of their entire relationship? Some lies don't need to be told out loud. The silence exposes everything. Jasmine placed the paper back in the envelope like it burned her. Her voice finally came back, slow and low. Gino, she called out. But her tone wasn't soft. It wasn't a question. It was the start of a storm. She sat down without realizing she had moved. Her knees folded under her like her body didn't trust itself to stand anymore. The envelope sat on the coffee table, half open like it was watching her, judging her, daring her to look again. And she did. Gino's name was still there, printed with zero hesitation. Father, Gino Palasolo. Next line, mother, not disclosed. Then came the line that hit harder than all of it. Child, female. Age, 3.99 years. Jasmine froze on the decimal. 4 years. Almost exactly the length of their relationship. She blinked. Once. Twice. And then she saw it, like her brain had flipped on a projector. Every weird moment from the last year played back, one by one. But now, they had context. Gino checking his phone with his screen turned away. Gino laughing nervously when she asked about his past. Gino avoiding baby talk. Gino deflecting every time she brought up starting their own family. He didn't want to plan a baby because there already was one. When someone keeps dodging your questions, it's because the answer ruins everything. Jasmine leaned back into the couch, the air thick with disbelief. Her memory dragged her back to the exact night he gave her the gag gift, the way he stood too far away when she opened it, the tight, forced smile that didn't match the supposed joke. How he kept checking her face, but never made eye contact. He thought he could laugh it off. He thought she'd never look closely. The cameras were still rolling when she reached for the envelope again. This time, her hands weren't shaking. They were steady, cold, controlled, like someone inspecting the ashes after a fire. She read the form, word for word. Not collected. Match confirmed. No doubts. Gino was the biological father. And the mother? completely hidden. The report simply said, undisclosed. Her breath caught in her throat. Undisclosed didn't mean unknown. It meant protected. It meant whoever the woman was, Gino had kept her completely out of sight. Jasmine looked up at the ceiling like it held the answers. Or maybe she was begging it to rewind time. Her mouth was dry, but her mind raced faster than it had in months. He had always claimed to be honest, always painted himself as the awkward but loyal guy. But this was not a mistake. This was strategy. She had walked into Christmas thinking she was finally building a future. Instead, she was standing in someone else's past. The scariest betrayal is the one you didn't see coming because you trusted too hard. She heard Gino humming in the kitchen again. Same tune as always. Same voice that used to calm her. Now, it made her skin crawl. She didn't think. She moved. Her bare feet hit the icy wood floor as she pushed the front door open and stepped into the snow. Michigan wind slapped her face, but she didn't flinch. Her breath hit the air like smoke, white and fast. Behind her, producers shouted her name. She didn't turn back. No coat, no shoes, just her Christmas pajamas and a face full of betrayal. The snow crunched under every step. Frozen sidewalks, flashing lights on nearby houses, and that awful sound of fake cheers still playing through neighborhood speakers. Jasmine walked right through it. Silent. Focused. Frozen on the outside. Boiling on the inside. Sometimes silence screams louder than a fight. The TLC crew stumbled after her, cameras rolling, but nobody dared get too close. One producer called for her again, Jasmine, wait. But her shoulders never moved. She walked like she knew exactly where she was going, even if the rest of her was falling apart. Back at the house, Gino was still in the kitchen. The wine glass clinked against the sink when he turned to find her gone. Then, the door was open. Then, the camera crew was gone. And then his name was being shouted in every direction. He stepped outside, barefoot too, calling out, "Jasmine? Jas?" But by the time he reached the end of the driveway, she was already at the corner. Her friend's house was 3 blocks down. Someone she had met during the last shoot. Quiet, low drama, off camera. Jasmine had memorized the address without telling anyone. Backup. Escape. Insurance. Whatever you wanted to call it, she used it now. She knocked once. The door opened. Jasmine stepped inside without saying a word and shut it behind her. TLC had no choice. Cameras stopped. Production was told to stand down. The director radioed back to base. This wasn't usable anymore. Not tonight. Inside that quiet house, Jasmine collapsed onto a hallway bench. Her friend wrapped a blanket around her shoulders without asking. Jasmine didn't cry. She didn't talk. She just stared at her frozen feet and whispered, "He gave me a baby that wasn't mine." Christmas didn't break her. The truth did. And it happened on camera. Meanwhile, Twitter exploded. Is Jasmine okay? Did Gino just get exposed on Christmas Eve? Reddit threads multiplied by the minute. Leaked set photos surfaced online showing crew running after Jasmine in the snow. By morning, every 90-day fan page was flooded. But Gino? He stayed inside. Lights still on. Tree still glowing. Pretending like the biggest betrayal of his life hadn't just walked out the door. The next time Jasmine appeared on camera, she wasn't in full makeup. Her hair was pulled back, face bare, voice low. The words came out steady, but something in her eyes had changed. The fire was still there, but the warmth was gone. What replaced it was distance. Controlled, practiced distance. The kind that builds after too many lies and not enough answers. She looked directly into the camera and said it without hesitation. I don't trust him anymore. No tears, no drama, just a flat truth that hit harder than any scream. Once trust is gone, love doesn't know where to go. The producers gave her space, but not for long. They asked if she wanted to go over what happened. Jasmine nodded once. Then she took a deep breath, and it began. Flashbacks rolled in one after another. Every time Gino laughed off the idea of having kids. Every time he brushed it off with a dumb joke or changed the subject. In interviews, he always played it cool. We'll see where life takes us. But now it all looked different. Not unsure. Calculated. There was that moment in episode 4 where Gino disappeared for 2 full days. TLC had cut it down to a single scene. They said he needed space after a fight. Jasmine had even defended him on camera, saying maybe he was just overwhelmed. Now, she wasn't so sure. 2 days. No calls, no tracking, no receipts. He said he'd gone to visit a friend from work. She had never seen a single photo from that trip. Then came the Reddit theory. Back in August, someone posted screenshots showing Gino's name on a burner phone registry. Fans debated it, dismissed it. Jasmine had even joked about it on TikTok. You think Gino has a secret phone? Please, he barely knows how to unlock the one he has. Now that joke didn't land the same. There were other signs. His random trips to handle family stuff. Always off camera. Always last minute. Never explained. Jasmine had thought maybe he was dealing with guilt over his parents. Maybe he needed space from the show. But now, she wondered if those trips were to visit someone else, someone younger, someone calling him dad. The worst betrayals don't come out of nowhere. They were just ignored the first 100 times. She looked back at the camera, jaw set. I feel stupid. I should have known. But I didn't want to see it. Then she paused. He gave me promises, but someone else got his truth. Gino sat down in the interview chair like he was walking into a courtroom. Shoulders hunched, eyes darting, fingers twitching against his jeans. The producer gave him a soft prompt, something easy. How are you feeling today? He stammered. I didn't expect any of this. That was the understatement of the year. The director didn't waste time. They played the moment back. Jasmine opening the envelope, her face twisting, her voice shaking. The words on the page. Gino rubbed his forehead and sighed. I didn't know the test was in there. The producer didn't blink. You didn't know what was inside the envelope? No, he said too quickly. I thought it was blank, like a prank thing. I didn't check. It wasn't convincing. His voice cracked. His knee bounced. His eyes refused to meet the camera. The room got quiet. People who lie often forget what they said yesterday. But the camera doesn't. That's when production brought the receipts. One of the crew members rolled the behind-the-scenes clip from 3 days earlier. Gino sitting on the guest bed, packing gifts into bags. The camera had been on a wide shot. Nothing suspicious until now. You could clearly see the Dina envelope. Gino holds it in his hands, opens it, peeks inside, then reseals it with fresh tape. The room froze. The producer didn't say a word. They turned the screen toward Gino and pressed play. He watched himself handle the envelope, watched himself fold the flap, slide it into Jasmine's stocking. His jaw dropped. His mouth opened, then closed again. No words came out. Then came the quiet, brutal question. Still think you didn't know what was inside? He blinked, stuck between fake confusion and real panic. I must have forgotten. It was over. The next scene cut to Jasmine, watching the same footage live from her separate interview setup. She didn't say anything at first. Her hands went limp. Her breathing changed. Then the tears started before she even realized she was crying. She turned away from the monitor and whispered. He knew. He knew the whole time. When someone lies to your face on camera, the footage doesn't feel like proof. It feels like punishment. By the time the clip aired online, fan pages were already speculating. One name kept coming up, Melissa. Gino's ex before Jasmine. They had dated briefly, then lost contact. Jasmine had always thought the breakup was clean. Now, the timelines weren't adding up. And neither was Gino's story. Gino sat down in the interview chair like he was walking into a courtroom. Shoulders hunched, eyes darting, fingers twitching against his jeans. The producer gave him a soft prompt, something easy. How are you feeling today? He stammered. I didn't expect any of this. That was the understatement of the year. The director didn't waste time. They played the moment back. Jasmine opening the envelope, her face twisting, her voice shaking, the words on the page. Gino rubbed his forehead and sighed. I didn't know the test was in there. The producer didn't blink. You didn't know what was inside the envelope? No, he said too quickly. I thought it was blank, like a prank thing. I didn't check. It wasn't convincing. His voice cracked. His knee bounced. His eyes refused to meet the camera. The room got quiet. People who lie often forget what they said yesterday. But the camera doesn't. That's when production brought the receipts. One of the crew members rolled the behind-the-scenes clip from 3 days earlier. Gino sitting on the guest bed, packing gifts into bags. The camera had been on a wide shot. Nothing suspicious until now. You could clearly see the Dina envelope. Gino holds it in his hands, opens it, peeks inside, then reseals it with fresh tape. The room froze. The producer didn't say a word. They turned the screen toward Gino and pressed play. He watched himself handle the envelope, watched himself fold the flap, slide it into Jasmine's stocking. His jaw dropped. His mouth opened, then closed again. No words came out. Then came the quiet, brutal question. Still think you didn't know what was inside? He blinked, stuck between fake confusion and real panic. I must have forgotten. It was over. The next scene cut to Jasmine, watching the same footage live from her separate interview setup. She didn't say anything at first. Her hands went limp, her breathing changed. Then the tears started before she even realized she was crying. She turned away from the monitor and whispered, "He knew. He knew the whole time." When someone lies to your face on camera, the footage doesn't feel like proof, it feels like punishment. By the time the clip aired online, fan pages were already speculating. One name kept coming up. Melissa. Gino's ex before Jasmine. They had dated briefly, then lost contact. Jasmine had always thought the breakup was clean. Now, the timelines weren't adding up. And neither was Gino's story. It started with a shaky phone camera and a dim bedroom light. A woman with long brown hair, wearing a hoodie, sitting cross-legged on her bed. She didn't tag anyone. She didn't even name him. But it didn't take long before the internet did it for her. "I'm not looking for drama," she said. "But if your fiancé gave you a Dina test as a Christmas gift and you just found out he's already someone's dad, yeah, that happened to me. He ghosted after filing the papers. Left me with everything." The TikTok was under 2 minutes, but the comments lit up in seconds. Someone posted a screenshot. Is she talking about Gino? Then a side-by-side. Then a still from the show. Within an hour, her follower count doubled. Within 2, Jasmine saw the clip. A fan DM'd it to her on Instagram with nothing but the word receipts. She clicked the video and didn't even finish watching before she stood up, grabbed her mic pack, and marched to the next room. The production team scrambled. She didn't wait for them to catch up. Gino was sitting on the couch, scrolling through his phone like the world wasn't on fire. "Is this her?" Jasmine asked, shoving the phone into his face. He flinched, took the phone, and stared at the screen. His expression dropped. His mouth opened like he wanted to lie, but the words wouldn't line up fast enough. "Who is she?" Jasmine snapped. Gino rubbed his forehead. "I was going to tell you. After Christmas, that was it." The second the words left his mouth, Jasmine's hand moved fast. She smacked the phone out of his hand. It hit the floor hard, screen face down. The silence that followed was heavier than any fight they'd ever had. Some truths are so rotten, the moment they hit air, everything around them starts to decay. She backed up a step, eyes locked on him, breathing uneven. "You were going to tell me after Christmas? After I bought you gifts? After I made plans to start a family with you? You were going to tell me then?" Gino didn't respond. The crew didn't speak. The camera zoomed in slowly as Jasmine turned, fists clenched, lips trembling, and walked out of the room. In the background, Gino picked up his phone. The screen was cracked. And so was everything else between them. Jasmine sat on the edge of the bed in a silent guest room, knees drawn up, eyes red. The makeup was gone. The filter was off. What stayed was the pain. She stared down at her hands like they were strangers. like they'd built something with someone who was never real. I gave up everything for him, she whispered. No producers prompted her. No one asked a question. The mic picked up her voice like it was listening to someone come undone. I left my job. I left my country. I left my dignity, piece by piece. Every time he made me feel crazy for asking simple questions, the timeline wouldn't leave her alone. 4 years. 4 whole years. And the child in the DNA test was almost 4 too. That wasn't coincidence. That was planning. She looked straight into the camera lens, not as a cast member, not as a TV personality, but as a woman who felt stripped bare. What if I was the cover story? What if I was the distraction? What if this whole thing was a setup? When love starts to feel like manipulation, every memory turns into evidence. Jasmine reached for a tissue and didn't even use it. She just held it in her hand like something to cling to. I didn't come here to be a backup plan. I didn't move my life for someone who already had one. Then came the hardest question. The one she had avoided for hours. Would he have ever told me the truth if I hadn't opened that envelope? The silence that followed was brutal. She wiped her face with the back of her hand and laughed bitterly. And TLC caught all of it. Of course they did. The show that followed their fights, their proposals, their makeups was now capturing her complete collapse. Fans who once sent emojis and support now sent fire emojis and calls for justice. #Justice for Jasmine was trending by morning. People flooded Instagram, TikTok, Reddit. She deserves better. This was never a fair storyline. She was used for ratings, for deflection, for control. But Jasmine didn't want sympathy. She wanted her time back, her voice back, her power back. It's not the betrayal that breaks you, it's the realization you defended the person who was betraying you. She sat there, quiet again. Then, whispered one last thing before the camera cut. I wasn't the one hiding something, but I'm the one paying the price. TLC moved fast, damage control mode. Producers showed up early the next morning, not with apologies, but with an offer. They pitched Jasmine her own spin-off. A new storyline. Reclaim your narrative, they said. Turn the pain into power. They called it a fresh start. She didn't even blink. I don't need a new story. I need the truth. The cameras stayed off during that meeting. But someone on set leaked the conversation. Fans saw through the PR move instantly. They weren't interested in another branding opportunity. They wanted answers, just like Jasmine. She wasn't done asking questions. Later that evening, she called Gino's sister. The one who always played nice, always claimed she supported their relationship. Jasmine pressed the speaker button and held the phone between them. The call was short. Did you know about the child? The pause was obvious. Then a clipped response. No. Absolutely not. Jasmine didn't believe her. Not for a second. But she didn't argue. She didn't fight. She hung up and walked away. A quiet decision landed inside her that moment. She'd stop asking for honesty from people who showed they had none. What she did next, no one expected. She opened Gino's old laptop, the one he left behind when he stormed out of filming. No passcode, no lock, just a mess of open tabs, half-written drafts, and an inbox still signed in. That's where she found the emails. They were labeled with a strange folder name, EC. At first, it didn't mean anything. Then she clicked the first message and froze. The subject line read, Update on the school forms. The message, I gave them your last name. Hope that's still okay, all in Spanish, all casual, all recent. She clicked again. Another thread. She asked when you're coming back. I told her after the holidays. Jasmine covered her mouth. EC. She scrolled to the contact card. No photo, no full name. But the Gmail address started with Erika. And the writing didn't sound new. It sounded like routine, like something that had been going on for years. Sometimes the truth doesn't explode. It leaks out, one forgotten message at a time. Jasmine sat back in the chair, holding the laptop on her lap like it weighed 1,000 pounds. She was never supposed to see those emails. But now that she had, everything was different. He hadn't just lied. He had a life. A child. A system. one she was never supposed to be part of. Jasmine didn't plan the confrontation. It just happened. Her hands were still shaking when she walked through the door, but her voice was clear. Gino was sitting on the couch, looking at his cracked phone, pretending he hadn't been exposed to the entire internet. He looked up and froze. She didn't sit. She didn't yell. She stood over him like the weight of every unanswered question had finally solidified into something sharp. "I saw the emails," she said. "I know everything now." Gino's shoulders dropped. No denial this time. No laugh. No lame excuse about jokes or timing or misunderstandings. His eyes darted around like he was searching for a way out that didn't exist. "I didn't know how to tell you," he said quietly. "I was afraid." Her head tilted. "Afraid of what? Losing me?" He nodded. "Yes." She stepped closer. "You didn't lose me, Gino. You threw me away. Some people don't lie to protect you. They lie to protect their comfort." He started to say something else. Something about time, timing, trauma, but she cut it off with one look. "You had a child. You made decisions. You built a life. And then you let me build mine on top of it, knowing it wasn't real." The room went quiet. Even the camera crew stopped adjusting. Even the lights seemed to dim. "I thought we were starting something together," Jasmine said. "But you were already halfway into something else." "I still love you," he whispered. She laughed, but there was nothing warm in it. "You love control. You love comfort. You love convenience. You don't love the truth. If you did, I would have known about your daughter before the viewers did." Gino's face turned red, and for once, he didn't speak. The Christmas tree still stood behind them, lights blinking, stockings still hung. But the air was ice cold. She looked at the gifts she had wrapped, the card she had written for him the night before. Then, at him. And something in her face just closed. Sometimes closure doesn't come from an apology. It comes from walking away while you still recognize yourself. She turned without another word. Gino didn't follow. He didn't stand. He just watched her walk toward the guest room, camera trailing behind her. The tree blinked behind him, quiet and out of place. Christmas wasn't ruined, it was exposed. The airport was quiet, cold, and too bright. Jasmine moved slowly through security, shoulders tense but eyes forward. Her suitcase rolled behind her with a soft thud. She didn't look back. Not once. Inside her luggage were 3 tiny onesies. She'd bought them last month when Gino finally stopped dodging baby questions. One said future princess, another had palm trees and a sun. The third one was blank, like the future she thought they were building. At the gate, she sat down and stared at the clothes for a while. Then, she got up, walked to a nearby mother holding a newborn, and offered them. No explanation, just a quiet nod. The woman hesitated, then took them gently. Jasmine smiled, but her eyes were glassy. Letting go doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes, it's as quiet as a gift you'll never give. TLC kept their cameras rolling from a distance. They didn't interfere. No interviews, no drama. Just her, alone, stepping onto a plane with nothing but a carry-on and a closed heart. As the flight took off, the screen faded to black. Her voice came in soft, layered over the hum of engines and fading Christmas music. "I came for love. I left with truth." Cut to footage of Gino at home. The tree still lit. A wine glass on the table. His phone buzzing from notifications he wasn't answering. He was pacing, muttering to himself. But no one was listening anymore. Then, back to Jasmine. Plane lands, Panama City Airport. She walks off, coat over her shoulder, lips tight but chin high. Something in her body has shifted. Not broken, not bitter, just done. A figure steps beside her. A man. Not Gino. No hand-holding, no romance, but familiar, calm. She doesn't say anything. He doesn't either. But they walk out of frame together. Closure doesn't always mean answers. Sometimes it means walking out of the lie before it becomes your entire life. Cut to black. Then silence.